Okay, so in this lesson we're going to cover VAT and what it is. So VAT is value added tax, right? So it's that amount that is paid to SARS, or the tax corporation of the company, if I can put it that way, right? So if you look at your till slips usually, right, you would have your VAT in exclusive amount, so the amount without VAT. Then you'd have your VAT there and 15%. Then you have your VAT inclusive amount and that there, right? Um, so whether you're buying goods or you're buying services, so having like a plumber or having a tutor, if they were a formal business and they were registered with the government, they would have VAT there, right? And we're going to go into the reasons why they would do that. But the core thing of you understanding VAT in accounting, not in a working environment, but just if you want to pass your exams, if we're being serious, would be just to understand how to calculate VAT and all that, right? So this is the main bread and butter that you want out of this video, really, right? So understanding how to calculate VAT exclusive amount, the VAT, well, using the VAT exclusive amount or the VAT inclusive amount to calculate your VAT, right? So your VAT exclusive amount is the amount that does not include VAT, and then your VAT inclusive amount is the amount that includes VAT, right? So to put this into perspective, your VAT exclusive amount is 100%. It is your baseline, right? Your VAT will then be 15%. Then your VAT inclusive amount is gonna be 100% plus 15 is gonna be 115%, right? Now, the issue comes when I see students now say that the VAT inclusive amount is 100%, then you're working backwards here. 100% VAT will always be 15%, and then you say that the VAT in exclusive amount is 85%, right? Going down, it makes sense. It's mathematically correct, but you see that these two are not the same, right? The reason we don't do this is because the VAT exclusive amount is your baseline, right? This will always and forever be your baseline, right? I'm going to give you another example of a baseline. Hopefully you know this by now. If you have if you bought goods, right, you would have your cost, but then you'd also have your markup, which is your profit that you want to make on selling those goods, and then you would have your selling price, right? So you'd have your cost, your markup, which is the profit. I'm just gonna write P, which is your profit for that specific item, and then you have your selling price, right? Difference between selling price and cost is your profit, right? So you have your selling price there. Now your cost will always be 100% because that's the baseline. That's how much you bought the specific product for. You get me? Cost would be 100%. Or we can use actual numbers. I'll come back and do that. Then your markup, let's say, is 20%. So your markup is 20% here, meaning that for every product that you sell, you make 20% profit, right? And then your selling price is 120. So it's gonna be 100 plus 20. Mathematically correct. Now, if we using example with numbers, for every cost, let's say you buy and sell phones, right? Your phone, each phone is at a cost of 1,000 rand. Then your profit each time you sell a cell phone is 200 rand. Therefore, your selling price is gonna be 1,200 rand. Making a bit more sense. The same way now, here we have 100 as our baseline instead of 85, because 100 is where we build on. That's what we bought the product for, right? And then VAT is what we add, is in this case the markup. And then the selling price is the profit, which is, you can consider it the VAT inclusive amount. So hence we would never use this scenario. I don't know why I made a circle. We would never use this scenario. You don't say the VAT inclusive amount is 100% and then you work backwards. No, the VAT inclusive amount is the if I put it in an example with a house, the foundation would be your baseline, right? Would be your base, and in this case your base would be your VAT exclusive amount, right? Just gonna write exclusive amount here. Then you build the house, the structure going up. This is your profit, your VAT, the difference. Then the roofing is at the end, right? This is your inclusive amount. Do you see how you can't build without the base? You need your foundation, you need that solid ground, and then you build upwards. Now, in the example whereby you're saying 85% is your baseline, you see now, if your base is 100% and you now saying that you're building from 85%, you're now building underground. That, well, yeah, that is not impossible, right? You're now starting to build underground. Let's not think of bunkers, let's think normal house. You're now building underground, and then your house is gonna be different, right? So hence now we always have your VAT exclusive amount at 100%, your VAT at 15%, and then your VAT inclusive is the 115%, right? So to also give more context or an idea around why or how this happens, right? How VAT happens, because at the end of the day, yes, it's value added tax, but when you buy, all you see is this VAT amount, and you're like, I'm just paying 15 rand or 15% extra for no reason. But now you are an accounting student, you must be able to understand that the VAT that is there is contributing to the VAT that you have to pay towards SARS. This is what VAT is about. What you're doing when you're calculating this 15% here. You want to know how much I'm supposed to pay to SARS. Understand me? So that comes about whereby we have a transaction, and there's two ways about it, right? You buy the product at cost. You buy the product at cost. This is your small little Nyana business. You buy the product at cost. And when you buy the product at cost, you now incur expenses. So that SARS now says that since you're buying, you're contributing to society, right? I'm gonna make my own example. This is not what actually happens. Since you're buying, you're contributing to society. So then I'm allowing you to claim VAT. That's the correct word. I was looking for the correct word. I'm allowing you to claim VAT, meaning that whatever you buy, you can go to SARS and say, I want 15% back, right? 15% of what you buy. You can go to SARS and say, I want it back in cash, right? But because you're a business and you want to make money, you want to make profit, you now sell the product at your selling price, and then you have to pay VAT, right? So the same way you claimed VAT, you were able to claim VAT because the person you bought from, they were paying VAT. And then the moment you sell and pass that product through, you have to pay VAT. Now the difference between these two is where you calculate it and you pay your VAT. So if you bought at whatever amount you bought, and then we calculated the VAT to be 100, no, let's say 200 rand. You calculated the VAT to be 200 rand, and then you calculated the VAT that you must pay to be 250 rand, right? Remember, here you're going to claim it, then here you have to pay. So when you claim 200 rand and you have 200 rand in your bank account, then from that 200 rand you go back and say you paid 250. Do you see you're now making a loss? And that's where it comes from. The VAT payable to SARS is the 50 rand difference between these two. That's the VAT payable. The 50 rand difference is what you pay to SARS, and that is what we are trying to calculate when we are calculating VAT, right? That is what we are trying to calculate. So the last example, just to try to wrap your head around it, I'm not trying to go into the actual numbers, but get the theory as the foundation. Just as looking at an example of how to do this, right? So since we know that the VAT exclusive amount is 100%, these are like rules that you must always remember and never forget. This never changes, right? VAT exclusive is 100%, VAT is 15%, VAT inclusive is 115. So the way that you're going to do this is you'll usually be given one, say the VAT exclusive amount, and you have to calculate VAT, or you're giving the VAT inclusive amount and you have to calculate VAT. How do you do that, right? So the practical way is for me to say, what you do is you're gonna have your X amount, so whatever you're given, that's your X amount, multiplied by unknown over known. No, why is it doing that? Unknown over known, right? And this part, always remember that this part is percentages, right? So to explain it, X is whatever you're given, whether it's the VAT inclusive amount or it's your VAT exclusive amount. That is the actual amount. So if they give you 300,000, that is the amount that you put there. If it's 400,000, that is the amount you put there. Then you multiply it by unknown over known. So let's say that they give you the VAT inclusive amount and they want you to calculate VAT. Your unknown is VAT at the amount of 15%. So you're going to say 15% multiplied by 15% over, what do you have? What do you know? What does this amount represent? It represents the VAT inclusive amount. VAT inclusive amount is 115. 15 over 115%. Then you calculate and get your answer. If you're working with the exclusive amount, it's, once again, what is our unknown? Our unknown is VAT at 15%. So that's going to be 15%. What is our known? In this case, our X represented the exclusive amount. Exclusive amount, we know in percentage terms, is 100%, right? Over 100%. Then you get your answer, right? So you can use this with anything. You can work it the other way around. If you have your VAT amount and they want you to find your VAT exclusive amount, all you're going to do is say, what is my VAT amount in the place of X, the actual amount that I'm paying, multiplied by what is my unknown VAT exclusive. There we said is 100%. 100% over what is my known. My known, like we said, is the VAT, right? 15%. unknown over known. You will get your answer of the actual VAT exclusive amount, right? So I have a few examples here before we close off the lesson, so that you can practice and see how it practically works. So we have 4,889 rand. Those are eight, excluding VAT. So excluding VAT, we already know that it's on 100%, right? So I'm gonna write here 100%. Now, what is our equation going to look like? We're gonna then say 4,889 multiplied by unknown. We want to find our VAT. VAT we know is always 15%. Unknown is VAT at 15%. What is our known? The 100 there. Over 100. Put that in your calculator and then you should get 733.35 rand as your VAT. 733.35, right? If I'm moving too fast for you, the moment you can even pause the video now. Pause the video now, attempt it by yourself for these next two questions. See if you understand what is happening, and then press play once you've done that, so that we see that you got to the same answer, right? Next amount is 9,850.30 cents, excluding VAT amount. So once again, we know it is 100%, but this time they want us to find the VAT inclusive amount. So the VAT inclusive amount we know is our 115%, right? So 100% is our known, which is the 9,000. The 115% is our unknown, which is the inclusive amount. Now we say 9,850.30 cents multiplied by our unknown, which is the inclusive amount, 115 over our, what is our known? The 100%. 100. That should give us, put it in your calculator, 11,327.85, right? 11,327, sorry, 0.85, right? Finally, 12,141,072 cents is our VAT inclusive amount. What is our VAT inclusive amount? We know that it is the 115, 115%. What are you trying to find? Our VAT at 15%. So putting that in a formula, we're going to say 12,000. We're going to say 12,141,72 multiplied by our unknown 15% VAT, 15 over, what is our known? 115. Put that in our calculator. What do we get? 1,583 rand and 70 cents. 1,583.70. That is our answer, right? So hopefully you have a basic understanding on VAT and how it works, right? But your bread and butter, once again, the thing I need you to understand at the end of this video is this: VAT inclusive, VAT exclusive, and the actual VAT. As to the reasons and how it works, all this is just on your understanding if you want it. But obviously you pressed on this video, or you opened this video so that you can pass your tests, and that is what you need to know. So once you know that, and you have this in your head that your VAT exclusive is your baseline, VAT is added at 15%, VAT inclusive is 115%. Once you know that, then you're able to apply it here in a question whereby they give you the VAT inclusive or the VAT exclusive amount, and you should be able to calculate the others. Once you can apply that, then you're safe, you're good. You should be happy with that, and then you should be able to move on to the next part, which is now using that to calculate the VAT that we owe, or the VAT that SARS owes us. And also, if you're in university, to apply that to your, how does it work with your journals? No, sorry, with your ledgers, right? But don't scare yourself on that. Just understand this by the time you click off this video. If you don't, watch it again and watch it again up until you get the same answers here, or try it out with your own questions that you have from your textbooks, and then see if you're able to get that.